How would you like to explore an ancient holistic practice that today's guest has actually called the first model of theoretical physics to explain the universe? Yeah, we're going deep. Hi, it's Cheryl Sitz, welcoming you back to another episode of Exploring Possibilities, a journey to remember who you are. You can find every episode since 2012 on our website at journeyofpossibilities.com. And new shows come out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, other popular podcast platforms, and youtube.com/Cheryl Sitz. If you like learning and growing with us, buy us a cup of coffee, will you? So we can keep bringing you these free shows. We appreciate any support you can give us at journeyofpossibilities.com/support. And joining us in just a moment, Dr. Gabriel Felley.
Hi, I'm Mario Rosales. I am the producer of Exploring Possibilities. I actually do IT work. I do website design. I do remote support. You know, one of the things that I've been having recently, I've been working with people that are on Wix. And at the beginning, even I had the idea that Wix wasn't that powerful. But as I started working with it, I found out that there is so much more in there that we are not taking advantage of. We're not taking advantage of its database functionality. We're not taking advantage of their autoresponders. And a lot of this comes included for free in some of their packages. I've learned the system very well to the point that I can train you on how to do it. Or if you ask me to do some complicated task, I can design it for you within Wix. Then after I'm done, I give you the training on how to use it. And then if you have any troubles, you can always call me. Thank you. I am Mario Rosales, and you can reach me at mariorosales.com. Let me help you out wherever I can. Thanks.
Dr. Gabriel Felley is a professor of business information technology at the University of Applied Sciences and Arts, Northwestern Switzerland. He studied theoretical physics at Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich and has spent decades studying and speaking internationally about the Yi Jing, or I Ching. He explores its applications in decision-making for leaders. A very interesting topic. I met Dr. Gabriel through the Houston Ions group, participating in an experiment he was working on, and I had to have him on the show. We've never talked about the I Ching. What a great opportunity. Welcome, Dr. Gabriel.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for being
from
with
Switzerland.
us. Yes, a long way. How is the weather in Switzerland?
Well, these two last days, it's very bad. So we had the chance to have some sunny days, last Sunday and Saturday, but now it's not really happiness here.
Oh, it's been kind of crazy all over the world, but I guess that's a symbol of the times that we're living in. Mm-hmm. I am so glad that you are taking the time to visit with us. I'm curious how such a science-oriented person found the I Ching and became as intrigued as you obviously have.
Interesting questions. If you are scientifically guided, then you have to look about the experiments. And my first meeting with the I Chings was more than 40 years ago. I was with my girlfriend. We had the discussions. And she was older than me, and she was already working with C.G. Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst who discovered the so-called synchronicity principles. And she knew about the I Ching. And we were arrived at the discussions, and we weren't able to take decisions. Should we do it that way or the second way, or we have three different options? And she told me, okay, she would have a new tool to solve this kind of solutions, but she told me, I don't know, because you're also a physicist, and maybe you are not ready to accept the way this method is working. And I told her, well, why not? Let's try. And this was my first experience with the I Chings, and the answers I received was so impressive to me that I get very suddenly the convictions that book will go with me a long way in my life. And more than 40 years later, it is still on my table.
That's fascinating. So it seems like you're saying that for instances where we have choices, this or that person or decision, those are the instances when this is a modality that can be most beneficial for us?
Exactly. Indeed, you may consider the I Chings as a system that encodes the dynamic of change in the universe in a global way. And using I Ching is establishing a kind of connections with some archetypical sources of informations. And these informations are not reachable by using strictly rational methodology. So it sounds today like something like esoteric or magic, but it's not. It's a field of informations we can connect through the I Chings, and we can use these informations to solve our daily problems.
This information field, you're referencing the morphic, what you call the morphic field, or what is scientifically referred to as the morphic field?
Exactly, and it's not that easy to define,
Yes.
Verbally what the morphic field is, but the morphic fields is we can make a comparison with we know the gravitational field, we know the electromagnetic field, and these two fields are carrying energy, gravitational energy or electromagnetic energies. And the morphic fields I'm talking about is not delivering or carrying energy, but informations in an encoded way.
So we've had a lot of different people on this show that tend to speak more metaphysically. We've heard reference given to the idea that every thought that we have can manifest in some form of energy or some way that can be tapped into, so that all of the thoughts and the feelings that we're having are generating into the atmosphere. Is that the morphic field?
Well, when you talk about atmosphere, I think that the morphic fields is a field, but we don't know yet the real structures of these morphic fields. So, I mean, we can get some sensations,
Yes.
by our five senses, by the eyes and optical signals.
Yes.
Or we get informations by sound waves, or by touching some things, measuring some things. So, and this is what we call, this is what we think we are not able to get informations without using these channels of sensing.
Yes.
And these informations we can touch or we can make available using the morphic fields. They belong to a completely different order of informations.
Okay.
It's not using our brain. And I mean, in this scope, we are more consciousness. We are using the consciousness, and in the morphic fields, the consciousness is not a part of the brain. The brain is only a tool to activate the consciousness, but the consciousness is outside the body.
Yes.
So the consciousness is not a part of our brain, but the consciousness we are, needs the brain to install a kind of communications between these informations. We can encode it and activate in your daily life. So this means we have to consider the universe where we are in a different way than in the mechanical, biological way.
Yes.
And this is what the I Ching is not very well accepted by the mainstream scientific community.
Right. It's your understanding from studying this for decades that in a nutshell, we ask a question, which political candidate, what should I have for breakfast, whatever the question, and we assign values to the different possible responses. And then we toss these coins, and they are somehow tapping into that information field and delivering us the best possible answer?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if you ask the I Chings to shape, a better breakfast. I don't know what kind of answer you will get.
Well, I was trying not to go to the super serious, but you are teaching this for leaders, so it is serious.
You can use the I Chings for anything you want, because there is. I would like to say there is nothing sacred in the I Chings. The I Ching is a pragmatic tool. We can use it, but you don't have to buy a Rolls Royce just to go shopping.
I like that.
And if you use the I Ching, is not the best way to use it to ask, should I have a coffee or a tea cups for the breakfast? So it's the same, but you can do that. You can do that. It's okay.
Where have you seen this applied where it really made a difference?
Well, there's many ways to do it, but most of the times when people comes to me, they have a very precise questions. But they say, well, I don't know how I can formulate it. I don't have a very, very well defined problems. And then I say them, look, the I Ching, the basic assumptions of the I Ching, of all the morphic fields, is that the universe has intentions. And you are a part of the universe. So this means you have some intentions of the universe to fulfill. And to start a very interesting conversations with the I Chings, which means with yourself, you may ask, where am I in my life? Am I in the right way? Where I'm staying? So, and then 99% of the times, so you go through the coins throwing and then you get hexagrams, and 99% of the times the people are so impressed by the answer they receive. They tell me, so that's not possible. How it's possible? It's so clear, it's so close to my today's situations. I can't believe it. And then we start to work on it. So, and we look on the hexagrams. Hexagram is a figure with 6 lines. We have broken line. We have straight lines. Broken lines means a yin symbols, and the straight lines yang symbols. And then we have a mature yin or yang yin. So they are mutating. And for every hexagrams, we have a clear explanations of archetypical situations. And for every lines which are changing, we also have a comment. And then with only these 64 pictures of the universe, all the possible movement or change in the universe are explained. And the game is how to interpret the very generic meaning of these hexagrams to apply the dynamic of the hexagrams to the real situations we are considering.
It seems kind of complicated to me. It seems simple in one hand, and then kind of it gets complex very quickly. Does it take a while for people to learn how to do this for themselves?
I mean, you can start. You need the needed instructions are very few. So you just have to learn how to throw the coins and how to calculate the hexagrams. So after 10 minutes, you can start it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
But yes, it's very. But then, I mean, the hard stuff starts when you have to consider the meaning of the hexagrams you have received.
Yes.
And to apply this meaning to your current situations.
Yes.
This needs a lot of time and patience, reading, thinking about, meditating about, and this is a hard piece of work.
I found the same to be true with dowsing. The information that we get back is only as good as the questions that we ask. And so the more confusing, possibly there's more opportunity for clarity of question and deeper questions. Is that how it works?
You are completely right. The dowsing, the dowsing, the pendulum is only an indicator. I mean, the informations you get is in your body, is not in the pendulum.
Yes.
So the pendulum is only an indicator about something, and it is very basic because it has only a limited set of indications. Yes, no, maybe or maybe not. So it's not the dowsing. It's not this, the systemic like the I Chings. The I Ching is beyond a very strict and highly sophisticated logic.
Yes.
So the dowsing to have to interpret a lot by yourself. And the I Chings, if two persons practicing the I Ching with the same level, they will get the same deductions. And by the dowsing is not that clear because the range of personal freedom is higher than using I Ching.
So dowsing is more about the personal, the individual, and the I Ching is more about the information that's out in the field. Is that what you're saying?
No, I would say with the dowsing, you are also connected to the morphic fields. But the translations, from the decoding of the informations is not as systematic as with the I Ching. Do you follow me, or is?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I do. Yes.
It's not. I mean, if I ask this, it's not because I think it's too complicated for you, but maybe I don't have explained it very well. So
you're doing great, and your English is wonderful.
It's more my fault than yours. That's one point.
No worries. Please, it's great.
Please. Yeah.
You've obviously taken a deep dive into this. Do you use this a lot in your own daily life?
Well, in my situations, I'm every day and every moment I'm somehow coupled with I Ching. So if I'm outside working and I see some things, then I get suddenly some connections. Oh, that maybe correspond to the hexagram 21, the line 5th. So I'm completely immersed in the I Ching.
Yes, you're always getting more information about the responses that you're getting to the questions that you're asking. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not all the time asking questions, but I'm all the time trying to understand better the implications and the connections between the hexagrams because they are bound by families.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
You know that we have 64 hexagrams.
Yes.
And these hexagrams are organized in a kind of families. We call them nuclear families or pre-event families. And through these families, they exchange informations. So there is relationships between hexagram number, for example, 41 and 61. So and my what I really like to do is to understand what is the difference between hexagram 41 and 61. Because when you're asking questions, the hexagrams you are receiving correspond exactly and the best to the situations. This means if you want to understand really much why these hexagrams correspond to the situations, you have to know the differences between the hexagrams.
Yes. So
you have to bring some contrast between the hexagrams to clearly understand, this hexagrams means this and this and this in these situations, and the other hexagrams maybe have some similarities, but they are somehow different. So, and the differences between the hexagrams is very critical to deliver a good interpretations.
I see. It seems to me like this is an excellent tool for connecting science and what's formerly only been called spirituality, this idea that there's information out there that we can tap into. And I would think that as a scientist, you would definitely be pursuing ways to document this scientifically. Is that the research that you are trying to work on independently?
Yes. You are so right. I mean, we have a lot of, comparisons between the way the I Ching is working and the way quantum mechanics works. I mean, quantum mechanics is a very well established technology or science.
Yes.
Everyone knows how to use quantum mechanics to do, a lot of, of all our today reality is based on quantum mechanics. Computers need quantum mechanics. Cellular phones need quantum mechanics. GPS needs physics and quantum mechanics. And we know how to use it, but no one in the world understands really why it works.
Right.
Yes, but we know it works.
Yes.
And the I Ching exactly the same. So we are not now in the situations to understand why it works, and probably will never be. We are not never going to be able to understand how it works, but we can use it.
Right.
But if we try to understand, or if you want to understand what is happening between the throwing of coins and the creations of an hexagrams, if we want to understand this process, we are far away. But
Yes.
we still can use that process.
Absolutely.
This is what, Carl Gustav Jung, this very famous psychoanalyst, and Wolfgang Pauli, one of the most important physicists of the 20th century, they postulated a principle, they call it synchronicity principles. And the synchronicity is a principle much encompassing the principle of causality. It says that two events, they don't have to be linked together using a causal chain. They are linked together because they are creating meaning.
Yes.
And this is the basic of the I Ching. I mean, when you do an I Ching, so you have the coins or, the hero stalks. So, and you have a inner situations, that is your questions. And using a non-causal process like the coins or the hero stalks, you are creating an object of the physical reality, the hexagrams. And these connections is not causal, but it creates meanings for you. And the meaning is the significations of the hexagrams. So using I Chings is creating a synchronicity.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful thing. But
yes, it is.
We are not able, I guess our brain biology is not strong enough, or they don't have the connections for us to understand what happens beyond causality. We are quite good in describing causality, but we do not understand why it is causal. I mean,
yes.
The good questions is, ask me what is the cause of the cause. Why do we have causality? We don't know. But if everything is a cause, so then causality should have one cause.
Well, and at the end of the day, if, as you started out saying, if the process works, why do we need to understand all of that? I mean, obviously, as a scientist, the science part of us wants to understand, but for practical application, I would think just being able to see that these results can be replicated time and time again, that we can trust them, is enough to know that we can use them.
Yes, absolutely. But the scientific community just refuse the I Ching because it doesn't belong to the frames assigned to the science.
Right.
I mean, it means so, and they just refuse to experiment it,
Yes.
They just say, it's not possible. It's just bullshit.
Yeah.
But they never tried to do an experience, because in my experiences, I've noticed many, many times that for the same questions, I have working on something and it lasts 6 months for even more. And every time I'm asking the questions, I get the same hexagrams or an hexagrams very, very close to that.
Yes.
And that would be enough to consider it's more than just a hooky pooky.
Right. Yes.
And then one point more, I mean, when the scientifics means we understand the world. That's not true. We do not understand. We describe it.
Yes.
We are just describing. We are telling stories about things we look at. For example, when we do chemistry. So we are telling stories about atoms. We don't know what really that means to be an atom. And we tell a story about two atoms, hydrogens and oxygens meeting together and producing water.
Yes.
But we do not understand.
And the better we get at telling the story, the more we call it understanding. And we're not understanding at all. We're just making a better story.
But we are always telling stories about things we do not understand. I mean, we are talking about all the classical science.
Yes.
When you do science, what do? You look at some events you can observe, and then you try to project these events on something we call the space, using a parameters we call time, and some concept like energy, kinetic energy, or what kind of energy. But I mean, the concept of space is a very shady one because we don't know what really space means. It's a consensus, Yes. We agree that we call something space, something we don't know much about.
Right.
But it's absolutely convenient if you want to describe traveling from Houston to New York.
Yes.
So you have your axis and then you have these times. But I mean, the times you are using to go from Houston to New York, hey, it has nothing to do with the real time. It's a model. And this model is extremely powerful.
Yes.
So the technology based on the principle of causality is extremely powerful. And this powerfulness is its biggest enemy.
Right.
That's the problem. And we are coming up and saying, well, listen, this is my way. I consider causality as something very fantastic. But I mean, we can also use another concept. We don't know more about causality, but we can use it. And this is called the synchronicity principle. So if you want, now we are, do you know the book from Harari, Homo Sapiens?
No, I'm not familiar with that book. Tell me about it.
Well, it's a very fantastic book. It's a bestseller, I would say, in the 2012 now. And then he wrote Homo Sapiens. The second one was Homo Deus. And I would say the next very age of the humanity will be called Homo Synchronicitus. This means when the mankind has then developed a kind of affinity to the synchronicity.
Yes.
And that will change the way we are living. We will be completely, holistic, because we may be able to use all our resources.
Yes.
Which we already have, but we just don't look at it because it doesn't correspond to the pictures the basic science likes to give us.
Right. But the awakening community is really tapping into synchronicities, and there's a lot of conversation about it. How, wow, my life gets really exciting when I pay attention to the synchronicities and I flow with those.
It's an arrangement.
Yes.
And using I Ching, probably we think we look at synchronicity at something happening. So we cannot direct. You cannot order a synchronicity.
Right.
But with the I Ching, you can. You have synchronicity on demand.
Wow.
Yes.
So I have to ask the most obvious question that most listeners that are unfamiliar
Please.
with this until now would be asking. How do I get started? Can you recommend for someone just beginning with this a particular book or website, or do you have a workshop that we can do online or something to connect and learn how to start to use this in our lives?
Well, there are many books. Most of them are not that good.
Well, thank you for saving us the time on those then.
Yes, I think we are still missing my book.
Yes, we are.
Well, I have to start to write it, so that's the problem.
Oh, please do take the time, because we would really like, or maybe just do a
I'm
little
fighting-
video
I'm
class.
fighting- I'm fighting every day with that, So yeah. But I mean, there are some good books, and probably one of the best is from Richard Wilhelm.
And can you spell that last name, please?
Richard, so Richard.
Yes.
Wilhelm is Wilhelm.
Okay.
Yes, and this is the fundamental basic books on Yi Jing.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. That's a good place to start while we wait for your book. And
Yes.
I suggest that you work with the Yi Jing to find the perfect time to release your book.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. One advice. I mean, if you want to start working with I Chings, do not start reading the books like a normal book, Don't do that.
Okay.
Because if you do that, I guess after half an hour, you will say, what the bullshit.
So how should I use the book then?
You should have questions. I mean, just read the introductions.
Okay.
Okay, but do not start reading the hexagrams, hexagram number 1, then number 2 in the linear way.
Yes.
But read the instructions. If you have some problems concerning this, you can send me a mail. I will be happy to help you. And then when you have a questions, ask the questions and look at the hexagrams. And it will very fast give you some precious hints about how to consider your questions or how to formulate a good answers. And the more you do it, the deeper you will go into the meanings of the hexagrams. But already at the first readings, you will get some evidence about the impact of the hexagrams and the situations you are considering. This will give you the requested endurance, and patience to study I Ching more.
Could you possibly give us a sample question so that we can hear the way it's formatted and get some idea how we would get started?
Well, I mean, when I do some seminars, the audience likes to finalize the seminars with a try.
Yes.
And then the questions I propose is, ask the I Chings what benefits it will give you in your life. What benefits will you get to use I Chings for your life?
I like that. And then how would we know?
Very, very impressive what you get.
Would we guess answers and assign them values, or how do we begin to interpret the results from such a broad question?
Well, the problem assign a value is not that easy because I mean the way the I Chings is considering the universe is a qualitative way. So we are interested about the quality of the moment you are considering your questions.
Yes.
So this means that times as some characteristics will change. I mean, the times is not the same. The time yesterday is not the times for today. The times has some inner qualities, and the times from today's may be very, very useful to do some things, but tomorrow it will be too late. So you have to use the time as some configurations, and some configurations will be more profitable for doing this and not doing this. So,
yes.
And this is the way you understand your situations, is what time qualities do I have now? And I Ching is like surfing on the waves of the time qualities.
Will this book help us with starting to recognize where possibly we can tweak the way we're asking the questions or interpreting the answers? Is there any of that in there, or is it mostly about procedure?
No, the book will help you to better understand yourself, to better understand your needs, to better understand how to be connected to the universe, to better understand what you can improve and how you may improve it.
Yes.
So it's like a compass helping you to find out your way in this universe.
I love that. You are definitely primed to write this book, to write your book and help us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Considering we're not even speaking your native language, and yet you're laying it all out so beautifully for us. You do very well in English, so I can only imagine with all the other translations, you'd be helping us around the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
I just take a notice. Cheryl will support me in writing that book. I mean, mentally, of course. It's good to hear that. That's very. I feel comfortable.
Good.
Yes.
Good. You're doing a great job. We really appreciate you sharing all of this with us. We're about out of time, so I'd like to ask you, after everything that we have and haven't discussed, just what parting thought about the I Ching and this time that we're living in would you like to leave listeners with today?
Well, I would say, we are part of the universe. The universe has intentions. These intentions of the universe is changing all the times. It's not like, we are in the world is ruled by some algorithm. And it is not the same like, in the Newton pictures of the universe, which we are the world like a clockwork. So the intentions of the universe is changing. It is a kind of intelligence, very deep intelligence. And this intelligence is modeling herself all the times, is changing all the times. And this implies that if we want to stay aligned to the intentions of the universe, we have to get some feelings about the changings we are going through and to accept the changings. And a way to better understand what changings we have to go through is using the I Ching.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I can't wait to read your book.
Okay, start reading the Richard Wilhelm. And I still need some couple of years to do that. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll be waiting.
I will send you one issue.
Perfect.
For sure.
I'll become your biggest cheerleader. Dr. Gabriel Felley, am I saying that correct? Yay, I got it right. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you, listener, for joining us. Please let us know what you thought of this interview and how you might use it in your life. We'd love to hear from you at journeyofpossibilities.com. And we'll see you next time on Exploring Possibilities.